conversation. Tonight we have Beth Conrey, a local expert. Beth has probably impacted so many of us on our journey to where we are as beekeepers, from the president of CSBA, the president of WASP way back when I just got started, putting on the WASP conference here in Boulder, um, having her hand in the Cottage Food Act that we now enjoy so much in Colorado. Beth is the owner of B Squared Apiaries based out of Berthoud, Colorado. She's the winner of multiple Good Food Awards for her amazing infused honey line products. And we're really excited to have her. I'm going to turn it over to Beth. Beth,
Okay,
welcome.
cool. Oh, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody who's joined in. And what started this was the conversation with the Sustainability Committee on what sustainability meant. And my view on sustainability was a little bit broader than other people were considering at the time. And so we decided that maybe we'd try to offer a presentation on my views on sustainability beyond the hive. So is my screen sharing if I switch over to the background, Brian?
I believe you should be good to go.
Okay, is that good to go?
I don't see anything different yet.
Okay, that's what's on my screen. So let me hit share. All right, let's try that one.
Now I see it.
Okay, cool. Perfect.
And folks, as Beth is presenting, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. If it's pertinent at that point, I'll probably jump in and ask Beth that question, and then we'll hit questions at the end as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and everybody, since this is was a request, this is the first time that I have made this presentation. So I am entirely open to suggestions and to answer questions in the middle in case I forget something in the path here. So sustainability beyond the apiary. Let me see how to advance. Got to figure out how to make my screen advance. Here we go. Okay, cool. Okay, so what does sustainability mean? And this is just out of the dictionary, and I think most people would agree that that's probably how they view sustainability. And so we're just going to take that definition and apply it to beekeeping and beekeepers. So I know that we said that this was going to be sustainability beyond the hive, but there's a few things that I think about with respect to sustainable beekeeping practices in general operations. So I do have a few slides in the beginning here on sustainable beekeeping practices that we employ here at B Squared. We do use wood for woodenware. And there are lots of other options out there for other materials, but we don't use them. We just use good old plain old fashioned wood. We do repair boxes. We do recycle broken boxes into feeders and mediums if we can. And then one thing that probably differentiates from most producers that are our size is the fact that we still use wax and wire for frames. Bees prefer it by far over plastic. I can walk into a beehive at somebody else's yard and I can pick up something that is on a plastic foundation, and I'll call it plastic weirdness, where they've built it all out very poorly, and it just looks exactly like that. They don't like it, and so we don't give it to them. We do melt that wax out when those frames get too old. We put dates on the top bars of all our frames of the year they went into production, so it's easy for us to see those production years and kind of head straight into taking a look at those frames and seeing if they need to be replaced. For any of you who have ever melted out wax from brood frames, you know that it is exceedingly gross. And for years, I struggled to find a outlet for the wax. And I did find an outlet, and that was via the Colorado Sun. Had a whole edition on how to hard to recycle things, and one of the things was beeswax for some bizarre reason. And there is a gentleman over in Brighton that takes that disgusting wax and does something with it. I don't know what he does with it, but he takes all of it, and I am happy to have it reused somewhere else. I want to note that I will send out a source sheet. I was talking to some people that, it might be a nice thing to have, is where we offload things and some information on the programs that we use for our operation to prove our sustainability. So I will send that out, probably not today, but by the end of the weekend. And then, Brian, if we can forward it off to anybody who's attending, that would be great.
You bet.
We also recycle our wire, metal recycling. It's an infinitesimal amount, but we do recycle it. We pass along any equipment we don't want and use. People drop off beekeeping equipment here all the time. There's more people's getting out than there are getting in. And there's piles of stuff that shows up here all the time. There's a ton of stuff we don't use. The first thing we don't use is plastic frames. So we just set it aside. If somebody, will offer it for free or for a donation to PPAN, and you decide how much it's worth to you and donate to PPAN, and I'm just out of the middle of it. We compost all our beehive waste. So at the beginning of the season now, we are cleaning out dead outs, and we will start spring cleaning on hives, and we will go through them from top to bottom. We will pull out all the burr comb, we'll pull out all the nasty frames, we'll do any reversing we're gonna do. We will scrape bottom boards, we'll replace any equipment that needs to be replaced with equipment that's already ready, and stack everything else back into the paint pile or the stain pile. And then there's always a trash bag full of stuff, all the detritus that's down at the bottom of the hive, and I just put it right into my compost and just turn it in there. And then we try and practice mindful beekeeping. And what I mean by that is, I look at so many people who have gloves that don't fit. And those gloves just smash the living daylights out of all the little bees that are extended over the end of your gloves. And I have a gentleman that works for me, and he's a very good beekeeper, but it took me about 3 years to get him to get out of those stupid gloves and get into something that actually didn't kill bees. And I just had to, I tell him twice a day, 3 times a day, look, this is who pays your bills. Quit killing them. And finally he got it. And so he wears different gloves that fit, and we don't kill nearly as many bees as we used to. As far as receiving's concerned,
Can we go
we're
back
bringing
to
in a
that
ton
last
of
slide
product.
for a second?
Yeah.
I have 2 questions on that last slide.
Okay, cool.
As far as wooden ware,
Yeah.
will you talk about painting, wax
Yep.
dipping, other options, and then wires? Are there better and worse options for wires?
To my knowledge, there's only one option for wires, and so we use that. And I don't know what the gauge is on it, truthfully. And then for paint, we use a low VOC paint. That's an excellent question. We also do a low VOC stain, and we do the work outside so that we don't subject our employees to the even the smells and stuff from what were low VOC compounds are enough to give you a headache. So both good questions.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, then we've got receiving. So we need to bring in all sorts of things, right? We bring in infusion products, we bring in glassware, we bring in all sorts of things. And so we have a whole system to separate our recyclables from our trash. We are lucky in Earthed that we have the EcoCycle down in Longmont. And EcoCycle takes a tremendous amount of materials. They take cardboard, they take paperboard, they take newspaper, but they certainly don't take all things. And so we recycle the cardboard. We reuse all of our packing materials. Most of our packing materials are recyclable or reusable. And what we get is those compostable packing peanuts. So they're made out of, I believe, cornstarch, and they just dissolve in water. And then they are great packing materials for us to turn around to use in our shipping and when we're shipping product out to customers off the website. We also get non-recyclable materials, and those I shouldn't say non-recyclable, but difficult to recycle materials. And that is those satin plastic bags that all of the plasticware is packed in. All of our plastic candle containers come in it, all of our plastic honey containers come in it. And so those are recyclable, but we have to take them over to the Charm Center. And the Charm Center is the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials located in Southeast Boulder. And they will accept those. There is a fee associated with them. So we just bring them over as soon as we get a couple bags of it, and it'll be $3 for us to get the plastic moved over to the Charm Center for them. And they do have a market for that. And then
Beth, correct me if
yes.
I'm wrong, but these
Mhm.
resources like the Charm Center will be in
Mhm.
that document that you share with me in a couple
Correct.
days.
Correct.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, yes. And then because we buy a lot of things and don't necessarily ship as many things as we buy, we end up buried in those compostable packing peanuts. And so all of the tissue that comes between our foundation sheets, our wax foundation sheets, and our beeswax candle sheets are also very popular with the public to pack things to ship themselves. So we have eBay, people who ship on eBay all the time that just love it when we put up the post that says packing peanuts are available, and they queue up and take them all out of the way. And those are free places to advertise. We use Nextdoor, but Facebook Marketplace, people also use Facebook Marketplace for offloading that type of material as well. Any other questions on that slide, Brian? Oops, I lost your audio.
Yeah, sorry about that. Have
It's
you ever
okay.
looked into any cardboard composting machines themselves to make a packaging material out of the tremendous amount of cardboard that you get?
Well, cardboard's easily recyclable.
Yeah,
So we just take it down to EcoCycle and put it all in the bins over there.
yeah.
Paperboard, paper materials. There's even our label backings. We can recycle our label backings. So we bring it all down there. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, and it's nice to have that service. I know that a lot of communities don't have recycling capabilities. In fact, oddly enough, Colorado is one of the worst states in the country for recycling, and it just astounds me, especially when a lot of people have curbside recycling.
Mm,
So cardboard, I know, I do have lots of people that ask me to save it so they can do their little lasagna thing in their, whatever they're trying to do in their gardening. And
right.
we're happy to, whatever people want to use it for, we're happy to offer it. No problem. Yep. Okay, so next thing is we do have the honey house. many of you who are on this call have been to the honey house, so it's kind of a misnomer. My cousin calls it the Honey Mahal, and it's a deceptively large building. It was built in 2014, which was right after the flood, and we were flooded in that, and so it's built to withstand flooding, hurricanes, tornadoes, and whatever else can be thrown at it all simultaneously. But as part of that, since it's a relatively new building, the lighting is all LED, so it's very energy efficient. We do not have air conditioning in the building, which is a problem some months of the year. We do have poor heating in the building, and I do need to correct that. But those the heating is gas powered, because that's what's at my house, and it just tagged into my house. But the electricity, I did put in solar panels last year. There is there's a lot of money out there for upgrading systems to better energy. So solar has got incentives, and so there's a nice federal and state incentive to put solar onto the roof. And the building is set up so that it's perfect. It's a south-facing building, and there's no trees in the way, so it just generates a lot of power. And so that's been really nice. As far as invoicing is concerned, we even think about that. So we use recycled paper, tree-free paper, and we use double-sided printing for huge invoices, and it's just to keep the number of invoices and pieces of paper down. When we do deliveries, we combine all our trips, we go in a route, and we just map the whole thing out so that we're very efficient on our travel. We do not have an alternative fuel vehicle, but I would really like one. And so we are on the hunt. In fact, I don't know if any of you have seen the new Volkswagen Buzz, but I think that's what we need. And so that's what we're looking for. But the heavy duty one, the one that would hold adequate weight to make honey deliveries, is not yet available in the States. And so we'll have to keep looking. The only thing I know for sure I am not getting is a Tesla. Then we also offer a bucket recycling program. And this, I have to say, is a real double-edged sword for us. We, of course, buy buckets and sell buckets, and the price that we pay for buckets is the price that we sell the buckets for. And then we give our clients a credit when they deliver us back honey-ready buckets. And for some reason, that is a difficult concept. And what people think is honey-ready does not meet the bar of B squared's perception of honey ready. And so I issue threatening emails to people who violate, and you basically only get one strike. But I don't want to put all that stuff into a landfill. I want it clean. I want it returned. I want to pay my staff $20 an hour to clean it when you guys can clean it yourselves. So I think it's a great program. I think it could be better if we had more conscientious participation in it. But nonetheless, I've stuck with it for a lot of years, and I think people like the fact that they are being reused. Any questions in that section, Brian?
Probably way too big at this point to I'm not sure if tolerate is the right word, but I get a lot of customers wanting to return used jars so I can reuse them. And I want to, but it seems more work as far as sanitizing and getting the label off and preparing it to use again. What have your experiences been around that idea of reusing jars that customers want to bring back to you?
We reuse them for them. Okay, so
So
and then
you'll refill it for them on the spot?
yeah, and we we do have our technique for getting off labels works absolutely stunningly well. which is we pour boiling water into the jar and the label will pop right off.
Mm.
And so we just, and then we just run them through the Bosch dishwasher that we have inside the house. We have very, very few customers that use that. But we do have actually one wholesale client that does. And so we do that, and then they are sanitized and they are delabeled. But
Does that technique work for,
as a percentage of our, volume, I'd say 1 to 2%. Very
yeah.
low.
Does that technique work for plastic and glass?
No plastics, toast.
Yeah. So you just tell people to recycle the plastic?
I do. In fact, we have a recycle statement on our website. And
Yeah.
when we pack things for shipping, we put in a thing that says all our materials are fully recyclable, and encourage people to do that.
You might have this on a future slide, but as we're talking about things like this, taster sticks comes up. The taster sticks that you use at markets, which are a tremendously disposable item. Do you have a preference or an opinion on those? And if it's in a later slide, we can wait till then too.
No, it's not. So I'm going to add it to my slide collection. So there are compostable spoons. Okay, so what we do for tasters is we use our squeeze bottles and we just put a drop onto one of these compostable spoons. And then we just have them hold on to it and we put whatever other flavors they want to try on there simultaneously. We do capture those spoons, and unfortunately, there is no way that our sort of laissez-faire attitude towards composting is ever going to generate enough heat to get those compostable spoons to compost. So we recycle them. Okay, we recycle them. We treat them as plastic, but we recycle them.
So when you say compostable, are they wooden or a different type of material
Now they're like
compostable?
they're from
So it
shoot.
kind of looks like plastic, but it's
It looks like
like
plastic,
an,
but it's a compostable material. But the heat at which it takes to compost is only for a commercial composter and people who
got
are
it.
super serious about composting, which is not us.
Right. Okay, thank you.
If I put it in my compost, I would be able to find all those spoons in my garden.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, so yeah. Another thing that I should put in here, well, let's see, let's just keep going down and see if I address it. Okay, so sustainable beekeeping practices, Varroa. Okay. This is what most people think of when they think of drone frames. This is what I think of when I think of drone frames. Okay, and um, drone frames are really really effective. And so when the drone frame looks like this, where they have capped essentially the entire bottom part, this is a medium frame, and it is, whoops, let me go back here, sorry. This is a medium frame that is set into a deep box. So it is a bee space violation, and the bees will fill that violated space with drone comb. And when it's fully capped like this, and in this particular case, it was both sides, then we just run a hive tool along the bottom of that medium, take off all of that drone comb and feed it to the neighbor's chickens. And so I would strongly advise people to consider using medium frames instead of buying the green plastic things. But whatever way it works, I just wanted to let people know that that is a nice technique that has decent efficacy early season for drone brood management.
You have a preferred slot that you put that medium in?
That's an excellent question. And yes, I put it, let's see, for anybody who's not familiar with my numbering system, I start at the begin in the center of the hive. Left is 1, right is 2, and I go out to 9 and 10 on the lower box, 19 and 20 on the upper box. Is everybody with me? So the
Yes.
primary brood is typically in positions 1 through 4. So I will put it in 5 or 6. So just outside of the primary brood chamber there. Okay, upstairs or downstairs, so 15 or 16. But sometimes we have huge colonies, so it's going to be out maybe 17 to 18. But once they're done, I only do this 1, maybe 2 times in the early part of the year. And then after that, I'll move it out to all the way out to the outer edges, and they'll turn the whole thing into honey. And then I stop using it. Okay, so it still exists in the hive, but it's a honey frame, not a drone frame. Does that make
So
sense?
at this time of the year, it's along one of the walls, and fairly soon you'll be moving it to the edge of the brood chamber.
If they have it full of honey, they probably didn't touch it. Okay, so we'll be putting in a fresh one into the brood chamber.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, this is going to be part of your sourcing packet too. I inadvertently found this really nice Varroa treatment guide online, and I find it to be just everything I wanted to know about Varroa treatment. Okay, so I have always used primarily Mite Away quick strips. If you have tried to buy Mite Away quick strips this year, you are disappointed. They are no longer available in the United States. And so I was like super disappointed, and went back to this document and ended up picking up some Formic Pro, which is basically the same formulation as Mite Away Quick Strips. It's a imbued patty that you put on top of the brood chamber. They are certified organic. And then but they are temperature sensitive, and I find compared to Mite Away Quick Strips, Formic Pro is a pain in the neck. It dries up too much out here in the Wild West, and you can't just pull it out in a week. You have to scrape it and chip it out in a week. So I thought we'd put some Formic Pro in early season, and then we're going to try this Viroxan, this new one here, which is really interesting to see how this thing's going to work. But that we're going to try that this year. But this is a nice little comparative table, and I'll send out the link to it in your packet.
What is the source for this chart?
It says down here, it's information. Let's see. I'll look it up, but it's a good source,
What's
and it
great
just
about
come
it is
out when I looked it up.
yeah, it's fairly current. It's got
Yeah,
things like Viroxan and the
yeah,
Easyox, which have just been put on the market. So
yeah,
it's a current document.
yeah. It just was. It's not even a year old, and when I first accessed it, it was about 2 weeks old. So very
Wow,
handy. Okay. So I'll get that out to everybody in the packet then.
great.
As far as harvesting, I don't have a whole lot to say on harvesting except BeeGo is not your friend if you're trying to be sustainable. Um, it's the bees don't like it, and that's why they get out of there. It has a tendency to kind of stink up all your equipment. We can tell when people bring up their supers for us to process in our processing facility. If they have used a product like this, then that's a pretty good sign. That's probably not a great thing for your bees. So I would urge you to consider other ways to get bees out of supers. For our part, even on all these colonies, we still just brush them off of there. Shake them and brush them, shake them and brush them, and we're pretty efficient at it. I don't, a lot of people, cappings wax is kind of difficult for people to deal with. They don't know what to do with it. It's not easy to work with wax in a home operation, but I would definitely, cappings wax is a beautiful wax. There's a demand for that product, so block it yourself or sell it, but don't just chuck it. There's really good material in there, and it was we'd buy it, no doubt about it. Okay. Um, when we
Beth,
get into,
I'd love
yeah,
to add something to that last
yeah,
slide as well. You know,
go for it.
harvesting isn't just harvesting your honey harvest. You can be harvesting wax throughout the season. So I like to carry a bucket in my truck all the time. So if I'm scraping wax off the top of a frame, I'm harvesting that wax as well. And that
Yes.
might seem like minutia to some people, but I could throw it in the bushes or I can throw it in my bucket. And over
Uh,
time, that's going to accumulate and it's going to be worth it for me.
well, and I will tag on to that. Okay, we also save all of our Burcomb wax, and we just dump it into our wax melter. And when we have a load ready to go, we melt it out. Um, I have seen people who just throw their Burcomb into their bee yard, and living in bear country and coon country, you might as well be baiting them in there. I mean, that makes no sense to me. Plus, then you walk around in it and it all gets stuck to your shoes. The other thing that we keep is propolis scrapings. Okay, and so we have quite a few people that purchase a propolis tincture from us. Propolis is incredibly valuable. And propolis tincture, I mean, we're at $10 an ounce on a grain alcohol, organic grain alcohol base. And then we just have a new product. We don't even have it packaged or labeled or anything yet, but it's a non-alcoholic propolis. Um, it's not a tincture, it's just a propolis mixture. And it's for people who don't want any alcohol.
Are you using propolis traps or just scraping your equipment clean to get your propolis?
Well, we just have everybody has bees that are propolis makers,
Yeah.
where everything is covered in propolis. And we just take off as little as we can. But on 200 colonies, it'll be probably a good 3 1-gallon bags of propolis at the end of the year.
Mm.
And that's a lot of propolis tincture. So it works well for us to save it as well.
Thank
Uh-huh. Okay, so uh, into packaging. When we first started, all we packed was glass. And if I had my druthers, I would still pack only in glass. I way prefer glass. I think honey looks better in glass. When you're selling a raw product like we all are, it's very difficult to crystallize a product in a PET container, which is what the plastic is most of the time. And so we still produce a tremendous amount of glass, but we looked for post-consumer recycled product to put our to use for our glass, and we're struggling on that front, but I haven't given up on it. And I think there's movement in that direction, and that we're going to have availability on glass that's available with more post-consumer recyclable glass in it. Plastic. I have, it's a business decision that we offer plastic. It is what the consumer wants. It is lightweight. It is, it's easily travels. It easily ships. In commercial kitchens, you're not allowed to have glass back of house. And so you can get yourself into the institutional food service market with a plastic pack offerings. So as much as I dislike plastic, the best I could do to meet consumer demand for that product, while at the same time sleeping at night over it, is to participate in a plastic offset program. It's a plastic credit, like a carbon credit. So we had to weigh all of the different plastics in all of our products, from lip lube container lids uh, to lid, regular lids, to our plastic candle things, candle bases. They're all different plastics. So we had to find out what all the plastic was, find out what all the grams were, and then we sent it off to the people that do the program for us, and they tell you how much they're going to make me pay for that plastic to get it out of the environment. And so twice a year, they send me about a $1,500 invoice. They just sent me how much plastic has been that B Squared has recycled with their program, and it was quite a bit. I was kind of surprised. So we've been participating in it for about 3 years, and I'll try and look at it maybe at the end and see what they said was my offset. In fact, I might try and look at it on my phone real fast while we're doing it. Labels, we've moved to paper labels where it's possible for us to move to paper labels. And for any of you guys who know Chris Borky with Boulder Valley Honey, he actually found somebody who does labels in algae ink. And so that's kind of a cool thing. And so I would like to do algae ink myself, but unfortunately it's only comes in one color. And we need more than that for our branding. One of the things that we're really working on this year is tape, plastic packing tape. Okay. And you use a ton of it. You're using it for boxes. You use it all the time. So we are trying to get a paper tape in here this year. It's one of my top goals actually, is to do that. And then we of course recycle for all those plastic containers that people think they're helping me out and giving me back a plastic container. We just put it immediately into the recycle. And for those few that do refill with us, we do refill.
Beth, you mentioned lip balm tubes. Have
Mhm.
you looked into any of the non-plastic lip balm tube options?
Yes, we are looking into those right now. It's not a big product for us, but we do have one very large consumer of lip balms. And so I sent them over the paper tube company's catalog and all the samples here about a month ago to try and get them to switch to paper. And then once we're out of the plastic tubes that we have, we'll switch with them.
Thank you.
Yeah. But they're recyclable too, so you just have to get people to think that way, which they don't. All right. So moving out of the bee, the real, the bee core, I should say, and into the community. This was one of my primary focuses as we built the business, and we still are very generous with both our time and our money. And in order to ensure that we are generous with our time and money, we participate in several programs, and I'll give you guys all this stuff onto your sheets. But the biggest one and the most widely regarded is the Certified B Corp, and that's a certified public benefit corporation. You have to actually change your articles of incorporation to put all of the requirements that they have for the obtaining the certification. Those certifications are changing all the time. They are very strict. They are standards that cover everything from your water use to your sourcing to your employee wages to your donations into nonprofits, et cetera, and they watch it all. They watch it all. And so it renews every 3 years. We're up for renewal at the end of this year. And so we're working on that now in order to get it done by then. It takes a lot to put all that data together, but people who know what Certified B Corp means and what it is, shop for that. And so it's not, in my opinion, it's not an expense, it's an investment. It's an investment in my community, and it's an investment in the planet, really. So for our donations, most of ours go into pollinator efforts. And in my case, since I sit on the board of both the Pollinator Stewardship Council and People and Pollinators Action Network, they are the big beneficiaries of our charitable donations. But we do good work at both of the organizations, so it doesn't bother me at all to fund them as well as to provide them with time. 1% for the planet. Probably many of you have heard of that program as well. 1% of the planet is Patagonia, Yvonne Chenard, who started that. And again, you donate 1% of sales, not profit, sales to, in their case, vetted nonprofits every year. So they're going to have a much wider range of nonprofits out there, all in the environmental umbrella. And that 1% that we donate to 1% for the planet is included in the 2% that we donate to Certified B, or through Certified B, I should say. We have something called the Slow Food Snail of Approval. We like slow food, we like what they do. And so, but this is not, it's not like a certification, it's just sort of a, I don't know, an honor maybe. But basically somebody says, hey, you should give them a snail of approval, and they'll say why, and then they'll follow that up with self-reporting on your side. These are the 3 that we participate in addition to the Repurpose Global, which is the name of our plastic offset company. And you can be plastic neutral, which is what we are, or you can be plastic positive. So you can donate above and beyond what your plastic usage is as well. But they're not the only ones out there. There's lots of people doing lots of really great work out there. And I would encourage people to support these efforts, because I think there's tremendous value to them and to your business. Clubs. Every time I go to a bee meeting, I cringe. Gotta say it. Okay. I just don't understand what we're thinking, you know? I mean, we go in there, it's all single-use plastics, styrofoam plates, styrofoam coffee cups. I would really like my birding club, my Audubon club, has a refreshments box. It's a tub that has reusable cups, silverware, real plates, everything that they all just picked up at the thrift store, and somebody volunteers to take it home and wash it and bring it to the next meeting every time. And then there's no single use anything that's in there. And I would strongly advocate for all the individual clubs as well as the State Beekeeping Association to consider doing that. And it would make me feel a lot better of at attending a meeting, to realize that I'm not contributing to this plastic disaster that's going on in the world. And I think that there's probably, you know, plenty of Costco members that have gone out there and bought, you know, 500 plates, but you could transition as best you can via recycling instead of trash, and then move to reusables. And the faster we can do it, I think the better off the industry will be. And then when I show up at meetings, you know, they're buying the same pesticide coated crap that they're selling to the rest of the world. And I mean, pesticides are harming our bees. Why would we support an industry that's damaging our industry simultaneously? I don't know, but we do. And so, so it costs more to buy organic, not all the time, but some of the time. And there's really, really complex equations that are at work that make that more expensive, but that needs to be worked on as well. So if you feel like donating some of your time and money to food policy, by all means, I will encourage you to do that. Electronic documents. I don't need a pile of paper when I go. I don't teach with paper. That's what I'm going to send you guys over for your source sheet, is just going to be a hyperlinked document. It's much more valuable than this piece of paper. And Cynthia suggested today to the QR codes to scan for all the documents. Just don't put them up on a website with a QR code attached to them. I think we should be encouraging carpooling, bicycling, alternative ways to get to meetings. And then I put virtual only there. I happen to hate virtual only meetings This one has actually been pretty good because I don't have the gallery up to watch all you guys sipping your glass of wine and petting your cats and talking to your wife and changing the TV station. But as a presenter, they're very difficult. And I don't think people learn nearly as much because they don't have the networking, but nonetheless, there are meetings that I think that would be behoove them to be virtual only. And we should consider those as options, and then you save all the fuel and stuff too. And another thing that I've always thought would be a good idea is equipment swaps. Because we always have a pile of equipment that we're not going to use, or needs some love, and we would love to give it to somebody who could use it. Any questions on clubs there, Brian?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. All right, sustainable practices, personal. This is off to you guys in your own lives outside of beekeeping. Support local nonprofits. Support local suppliers. The people that are next to you at the farmer's market could probably use some of your time and money. Eat what you buy what you eat. I say this all the time. In this country, the food loss from farm to fork is how much? Does anybody know? Make a guess.
75%? Total.
Yeah, it's 40. Yeah, 40% of what we produce doesn't ever get eaten. A lot of it gets bought, but it doesn't get eaten. So just buy what you eat. It doesn't matter if it's a hell of a deal, it's on sale. If you're not going to eat it, don't buy it. Buy organic, buy sustainable, buy regenerative. Reduce your meat footprint. Meat is hard on the planet. But being vegetarian does not encourage sustainable meat production. And so if you've decided that you hate the way cattle are treated in this country, then find somebody who's treating cattle fairly and buy from them, instead of just jumping off the meat bandwagon. I don't have any objection at all if you're a vegetarian, stick with being a vegetarian. But if you're trying to eliminate meat, I think a better place to go would be to restrict your meat consumption. And you will, I just got back from a 3-week trip to Argentina, and I ate so much meat. I ate more meat in the last 3 weeks than I have in the last 3 years, I swear. Okay, because that's all you can get down there. But when you don't eat meat, but every couple of weeks, it tastes unbelievably good. So you can consider that. And then plus it frees up all this extra money that you can get organic produce with. Don't use pesticides in your home. Okay, it's that simple. You don't eat them, don't do them. Don't reduce or eliminate toxic cleaning products. These are all things that you all know, but I just like to put reminders on it because I have staff that works for me, and these thoughts never cross their mind to carry what they do at my operation to their houses. We hang our laundry. Okay, maybe you live in an HOA where you can't hang your laundry, but I think 3 of the finest things on the planet for your mental health is hanging your laundry, tending your bees, and picking fresh raspberries. And you can knock off one of those by hanging your laundry. Buy used. This line that's underneath here, patch it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. That's from Robin Wall Kimmerer, and I think it's a great line. Recycle in your own house. Compost. Lots of you guys have compost, curbside composting available. Utilize it. This is area that at this point in our political world, I am really worried and concerned about what's going on with my investments. Because everything's in these funds. You can't even figure out what equities you have in your funds. And so, I probably own Bayer somewhere in my stock portfolio. And I'll bet all the rest of you guys do too. If you are participating in the stock market in some sort of fund, buried down in there is support for for people you don't want to be supporting. So I'm really watching as a focal point, trying to get to a better place with where my investments are held. Into your gardening and landscaping, I think most of you guys know this, but hey, why not? 3 seasons of nectar and pollen is what we need for pollinators. So plant trees, plant shrubs, plant perennials, plant annuals. Pesticide free, okay? Especially neonicotinoid. If it says it's a neonicotinoid, you'll see this at Home Depot or any of the big box stores. It'll say this plant treated with neonicotinoids to keep it healthy. Put it back. Okay, you don't want that. That is proven to be harmful to your bees. Locally grown, there's lots of great nurseries around here. There's some very, very good native plant production around here. So keep your eyes peeled and look at what's available and put it in your own yard. Go back to electric mower or hand push mowers if you've got a little tiny little lawn. Electric hand trimmers. We have an electric trimmer, and I have to say, the battery life on it's not good. But it's still better than the gas-powered thing that throws plastic cording all over my backyard. And that's all I got. Just my thoughts.
Thank you, Beth. There's a lot in there that definitely pushed my thinking. And I had the benefit of asking a lot of questions along the way. The only thing I wanted to add with this last slide is, that focus of reducing your turf footprint. The American lawn is, for me, often a waste of multiple sources of energy, from water to fertilizer to gasoline to time and energy. I want to encourage people to reconsider how much Kentucky bluegrass they have on their property. And if you have property, consider it land, not a yard. And how are you fostering this land? And how are you treating this land well? And how are you treating it in a way that it might give something back to you? And although there might be some uses that some of us have for a lawn, I'm betting that a lot of us don't use very much of our lawn, and that's land that can be used in other ways to the benefit of yourself or your bees.
And in general, and there is quite a few incentive programs out there for you to minimize or start turf reduction. And this is all going to be a win-win-win for pollinators. And we are just going to hang on the coattails of the water people who don't want to be pouring water onto grass. And so there's all these incentives that are out there. There is a turf reduction program that's in the state legislature this year. There is Resource Central. Many of the water, like I'm with Little Thompson Water District, and the Water District has a program with Resource Central that you tear out X number of turf, and they have a whole garden in a box type thing that goes in where you just removed your turf. And so it decreases water usage, enhances what's available in the environment for food for insects. And I have this little saying, you know, bugs in soil, it ain't BS. And there's a lot of work trying to get done on fixing this space of the whole entire food pyramid or food network, really. And starting at the bottom, there's no glory in it, but that's where the progress has got to start to fix things at the, you can't fix polar bears starting with polar bears. You got to work on a whole bunch of things that are supporting that network of polar bears to get polar bears fixed.
I've seen several cities in the metro area offering that kind of replacing lawn with pollinator plants program, so that's good. Lorna has a question. I always get asked by new beekeepers what they can do with package boxes, both the plastic and wooden ones. Do you have any great recommendations for that?
A lot of it's really hard to find those plastic boxes anymore. At least I haven't seen them in a few years. So what were they called? The bee bus, I think.
The
But
bee
the bee
buses,
bus I use mine for teaching and I have a wooden one for teaching. But most of the guys that are running out and getting packages are still taking those package boxes back. And if not, we should get somebody to get a program to get them, figure out how to get them back, because we don't need to be throwing that into landfill either. And when it's multiple materials like that, you need to take the can and recycle it one place with the wire on your metal side, and the wood side's going to have to be, chipped or burnt to get it out of the stream.
Yeah. John asks and says, thanks for all the great info. Will you be attending the PCBA speakers event next weekend?
No, they asked me to go to speak and I will be out of town again. And so I'm unable to be present at that event. But I did, support it.
Gotcha. We'll miss you there. We're gonna have a good time. Any other
Yeah, no, it sounds
questions
like it's
from,
gonna be great.
yeah. Any other questions for Beth? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask her directly or put them in the chat.
And
Kathy, Pat, do you have any other questions?
yeah, if anybody's got questions or suggestions, I am wide open for it. It's a big topic.
I've got one more. That's a tough one for me. Honey straws. The plastic
Oh,
consumption of
they're
honey
actually
straws.
a resin
Okay. Is that good or bad?
that is not plastic, so that's good. It's a plant-based resin. They are
Okay.
actually solar compostable, but it's the same thing as those compostable spoons.
Okay.
They just, you're never going to generate the heat in your own home compost to get that done. And so we treat them as plastic. And
Okay.
so we recycle what we can recycle and, put the same thing to people to recycle them themselves. But I suspect that most of them do not get recycled, but they are a resin and compostable in theory, but I don't really think in practice that that's what happens.
Okay.
I would really like, we need a materials scientist to get a clear plant-based resin for honey. Hemp to me comes to mind, but all of the hemp work right now is not on clear. It's all like your Yeti coolers and stuff like that. It's that white, thick plastic that they're making plant-based stuff into. And I really wish somebody could find me a resin or, plant-based plastic container. It'd be huge. I'd pay so much
Yeah.
more for it.
Yeah.
Hey Beth,
Mm.
it's Kathy.
Mhm.
Kind of blows my mind when I think about, the summer and winter meetings, and I know I've talked with Deb and Cynthia about this, but to have 200 pieces of utensils and plates, just kind of like, oh, I don't know about that. Is there any other way? I mean, I'm not going to
Sure.
clean.
It's real simple. It's what we do over here when we have big parties. Bring your own. Okay, bring your plates, bring your cups, bring your silverware, and take them home with you in your plastic bag. But it's okay, take them home with you. All right. And then some people will bring, styrofoam plates. And then it's a little lesson that you have to give them. That's
Baby
not
steps,
progress, not the
Beth.
progress we're
Baby
looking for on
steps.
our zero footprint. We're going for
Yeah,
zero footprint, okay?
baby
And
steps, yeah.
yes, and truthfully, I mean, there's huge events that are zero waste events, and so it is something to strive for. As far as 200, forks, 200 forks fits in a gallon bag, no problem. I mean that there's not space taken up with forks, but certainly, forks, knives, spoons, certainly some sort of have people bring their own glassware, have people bring their own plates. It'd be way, you really significantly dent your trash by divvying responsibility. Part of it into the state association and part into the state association membership.
There's no doubt about it. Some of these ideas are easier to follow through with than others, but the fact is these are ideas that are based on values. And if these are things that you value, you're going to be putting the time and energy into it if it's something you value enough. And I don't think it's a goal necessarily that everybody do everything that Beth is suggesting here, but pick things that you think might match your values and try to get a little bit better at sustainability. So that might be a value for some of us that we want to work towards, but that the fact is all of these things do take time and energy, and it is a commitment, and Beth has put a tremendous amount of time and energy into these commitments, but I also see that there's a tremendous reward based on that time and energy put into all that.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
I
good
think it
point,
really defines our identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian, going off your point is, and you take small steps. And what I did a couple years ago is just started collecting all my paper towel rolls and all my toilet paper rolls, and I was surprised at how many you accumulate in such a short period of time. And then I ran them all through my shredder, and that's what I used for smoker fuel.
Oh, yeah.
So you just
That's a
start
great
small,
idea.
you start building from there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, I just brain dumped what I do, but good Lord, I bet there's, everybody listening goes, well, I do blah, blah, blah. Throw it in the chat, send it over. We'll make a more comprehensive, robust document out of it.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot, and right now maybe it's optional, but I don't know how long it will be for. We really all have to take steps to reduce our impact on the planet.
Any other last questions or thoughts for Beth?
Did you get all the chat, Brian?
Yeah, I see Lori said, I heard this and it stuck with me. Stop saying throw it away. There is no away.
Right.
Yeah. That reminds me of another phrase, like, you're not stuck in traffic. Stop saying you're stuck in traffic. You are traffic.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, thank you kindly for asking, Brian, and everybody for the first shot out of the box with the. Is that Larry in there? It is. Hey there, Larry. And so thanks everybody who attended. And again, I'll get you out a source document here within the next few days. And then I will gladly take any suggestions to make it a better document and a better presentation for the next round.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Love
Beth.
it. Thank you
Thanks,
so
Beth.
much for your time, Beth.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you in April for our next sustainability chat.
Thank you, Brian.
Bye.
Bye-bye.